the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Chief GM Scott Pioli is with us. Scott, this is some process. 12 months a year you guys are doing this thing, and I'm interested to know, and I think fans are too, the scouts, you've got these guys out across the country all year during football season. The coaches, well, they're trying to win football games on Sunday here in Mobile. They all come together. So when you're watching these practices, how do you get everybody on the same page organizationally for what you're looking for?
Well, the first thing we did when we got down here, the scouts that were actually down here on Sunday, because that's when the weigh-ins, the heights and weights and measurements are. But Monday morning, we had a meeting, a staff meeting with coaching and scouting. And like you say, this is the first time that the coaches get to have exposure to what is going to be the new crop of prospects. I mean, they can see college games during the season on TV, but this is when this part of the process really starts to come together. It's mid-season for the scouts. It's now the beginning of the season for the coaches. So we spend time getting together, getting them on the same page as to who the players are, because it's a relatively small group in terms of the big picture number of players that are going to be ready. And this is where we get it going with them. And this is our time to get them into the groove of the new cycle.
When these prospects are addressing media reporters after the practice, they're always saying, well, I've got a bunch of meetings lined up tonight, and I've got a bunch tomorrow night. Yeah. It seems like they're going from team to team to team every evening. Roughly how many of these guys are you guys going to talk to during this week here? We'll
meet with every single kid here. Whether it's the Senior Bowl, the East-West, Texas versus the Nation, we're going to meet with all the kids. And they're here, our scouts are here, this is part of it. And every one of these kids has a chance to play in the NFL. So we will spend time with every single kid. We'll interview with coaches, we'll interview with scouts. I'll interview with some kids. College director Phil Emery will meet with them, Joel Collier, the assistant GM will. We will meet and spend time with every single kid and do just meeting, and trying to interview them, but also doing some tests on them to try to figure out who these guys are.
You mentioned the 3 All-Star games, the East-West, and obviously here at the Senior Bowl. They're operating under NFL coaching staffs. Does seeing them in that setting, kind of a mock NFL-style practice, does that kind of flip a page of something else you can evaluate these guys on?
Well, I think the best part of that, it's a great question, because the best part of that is they're being thrown into terminology and a system that they're completely unfamiliar with. And they've got a matter of days to get up and running, a matter of hours and practices from what they learn in meetings in the morning or at night to put it out on the field. And what you can generally see is some guys can get by just because they have enough football savvy. Some guys really pick it up, and to watch them try to pick up the new things that are more pro style that coaches are trying to teach them out here. It's really that's a very important part of this process.
We look at the 2010 draft class for the Chiefs. Dexter McCluster, Senior Bowl participant. You had Cam Sheffield, Senior Bowl participant. Javier Arenas, Senior Bowl participant. So obviously there are guys here that have a legitimate chance of being in Kansas City come this April. Can guys truly have their status go up or down this week of practices?
Again, depending on the franchise, I've been a part of teams and places and listen to other people where guys can completely come off the draft board based on some things that happen here, and I've seen guys rise. This is just, in our estimation though, this is a piece of the puzzle. Again, we always talk about this great mosaic of the player and who he is and what they are as a player and a person. This is just another piece of that. It's another opportunity for us to get information to evaluate the player as a player, to evaluate them as a person and a human being. So, but stock can definitely rise or drop. I mean, there's been times where guys who were completely off everyone's radar and been at one of these all-star games, and this is where they show up because they get to go against different competition.
At the end of this week, how does it all get processed? How do you guys go home and talk to staff about what everybody saw here? Because obviously there's a lot of people from the organization here all taking notes. You probably have different guys looking at different things. How do you bring it all together in the next step of things?
Well, we've got deadlines on all this stuff. There's nightly, as they get done with their interviews and the time that they've spent, or even between, like right now we're in between the 2 practices. Some guys are going to Dreamland Barbecue, some guys are back in their rooms and typing in their reports and typing up the information they've got. So we'll leave here, and again, last week was the East-West, and next week is the Texas versus the Nation. Each week there's deadline for that information to get in. They put in their computers, and then what we had our December meetings. Now in February, the week before the Combine, we're gonna have another set of meetings where we restack the board and talk about the board a little bit more. And all of our scouts have now done cross-checks. They've gotten out of their area, they've been given a specific position, then we do our cross-check meetings in February. So this stuff will all be talked about in those February meetings. And then we go to the combine, then come back and have more meetings. This is exciting time. This is exciting stuff.
And you just had to get a plug in there for Dreamland Barbecue.
Oh,
Every time I talk to you down here, you're doing a plug. You don't get enough barbecue in Kansas City.
I get plenty of barbecue. The barbecue is different. This is Southern barbecue. There's Southern barbecue, there's Texas barbecue, then we've got Kansas City barbecue. So, I'm becoming a little bit of a barbecue aficionado, as you can tell.